are moments in life when the wind shifts, when the air feels charged with something unseen yet undeniable. A stirring in the depths of the soul, a sense that the ordinary days are preparing to give way to something extraordinary. Have you ever stood at the edge of a season, feeling the weight of a chapter closing but uncertain of what lies ahead? It is in those moments that the divine hand begins its work, weaving change into the fabric of your existence. The signs are subtle at first, like the faintest stirrings of dawn before the sun rises. But as they unfold, they become undeniable. The weight of the old season presses against you, not to burden you, but to push you forward. You will feel a yearning deep within your soul, an ache that cannot be soothed by the things that once satisfied you. The conversations that once ignited your passion now seem empty. The routines that once brought comfort now feel suffocating. It is the spirit within you, recognizing that you are standing at the threshold of something greater. When God is about to change your life, He allows you to grow weary of the temporary so that you may hunger for the eternal. But this hunger is not always pleasant. It is not always gentle. There will be moments when you feel lost, moments when the clarity you once had is replaced by a cloud of uncertainty. What once seemed sure now feels shaky. The map you followed so confidently now appears blank. And in this unfamiliar space, fear may creep in, whispering doubts, tempting you to retreat. But do not mistake uncertainty for abandonment. God does His best work in the unknown. It is in the wilderness that He speaks the loudest, in the waiting that He refines, in the silence that He prepares. When you no longer have the answers, that is when you are finally ready to receive His direction. The loss of control is not a curse, it is an invitation. And as you stand in that place, stripped of the familiar, you will begin to see with new eyes. What once distracted you will no longer hold your attention. What once consumed your time will now seem insignificant. The clarity that eluded you in comfort will find you in discomfort. And you will recognize that not every battle is yours to fight. Not every opportunity is yours to chase. Not every door is meant to be opened. There is a pruning, a refining, a shedding of the unnecessary, so that only what is essential remains. This is the divine preparation. This is the season where He removes what will not serve you in the place He is taking you. But understand, this preparation does not always feel like progress. There will be days when it seems like nothing is moving, like the prayers you once prayed with confidence now echo back in silence. The temptation to rush ahead, to force the timing, will be strong. But you must resist, because the waiting is not wasted. The delay is not denial. What looks like stillness is actually strategy. There are lessons being woven into the fabric of your soul, lessons that can only be learned in the quiet. Strength is being built in the unseen places. Faith is being tested in the hidden moments. Character is being forged in the waiting. And when the time comes, you will understand why it had to be this way. Then, just when you have settled into the waiting, just when you have come to terms with the silence, there will be a shift. Not loud, not dramatic at first, but a shift nonetheless. Doors that refuse to open will suddenly budge. Relationships that seemed severed beyond repair will be restored. Opportunities you never sought will find their way to you. And though the changes may seem sudden, you will know deep within you that they were never sudden at all. They were always in motion, always aligned, waiting for the appointed time. You will see that what once felt like rejection was actually divine redirection. That what you thought was a loss was really a repositioning. That what you believed was the end was only the beginning of something greater. And in this moment, you will have a choice. Because change requires action. The opportunities may present themselves, but you must step into them. The doors may open, but you must walk through them. God can prepare the way, but He will not force your feet to move. The next season will require faith. Faith to leave behind the comfort of the known. Faith to embrace the unfamiliar. Faith to trust that what lies ahead is greater than what is behind. And this is where many hesitate. Because stepping into a new season means leaving behind the old one. It means letting go of what no longer serves you. It means releasing relationships, habits, mindsets, and even versions of yourself that you have outgrown. And that is not always easy. But you must remember what God is leading you into is far greater than what He is asking you to leave behind. The discomfort of transition is nothing compared to the joy of fulfillment. The uncertainty of the unknown is nothing compared to the security of divine alignment. The pain of release is nothing compared to the promise of renewal. And so you must be willing to move, to trust, to embrace the shift, even when it does not make sense, even when fear tries to hold you back. Because when God changes your life, He does not just adjust the details, He transforms the entire landscape. And with that transformation comes acceleration. What once took years will now happen in moments. What once required effort will now unfold with ease. There will be a divine momentum, a supernatural push that propels you forward faster than you expected. But do not mistake speed for recklessness. This is not hurried progress, this is an ordained unfolding. What felt delayed will now feel divinely timed. What seemed impossible will now become inevitable. The doors will open one after another. The right people will be positioned in your path. The resources will come when you need them. And in this acceleration, you will see the hand of God moving in ways that cannot be explained, only experienced. Yet, even in the acceleration, there will be tests. Because every new level brings new challenges. Every blessing comes with responsibility. Every open door comes with opposition. And you must be ready. Ready to stand firm when doubt tries to creep in. Ready to keep moving forward when the enemy whispers that you are not worthy. Ready to hold on to your faith when trials come to shake you. Because with every shift, there is resistance. With every breakthrough, there is a battle. And you must not shrink back. You must not let fear rob you of what is rightfully yours. You must walk boldly into what has been prepared for you, knowing that if God has brought you to it, He has already given you the strength to handle it. And when you step into that place, when you look around and see how far you have come, you will understand why everything had to happen the way it did. You will see why the doors had to close, why the waiting was necessary, why the trials were part of the process. You will see that nothing was wasted, that every pain had a purpose, that every detour was actually divine direction. And in that moment, you will not only recognize the change, but you will embrace it. Because it will no longer be a question of whether God was moving in your life, it will be undeniable. So, if you are standing on the edge of a season, if you feel the stirring, if you see the signs, do not resist them. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let uncertainty cause you to retreat. Step forward. Embrace the shift. Because when God is about to change your life, He does not ask for permission. He does not wait for you to feel ready. He moves. And when He moves, nothing remains the same. When God moves, He does so with precision. There is no wasted motion, no random shift, no meaningless transition. Every delay, every disruption, every moment of confusion is carefully woven into His greater plan. And yet, in the midst of it, it is easy to feel lost, to wonder if the pieces will ever come together, to question if you have somehow missed the path He laid out for you. But here is the truth: what God has ordained cannot be undone. What He has set in motion cannot be stopped. The shift may feel sudden to you, but to Him, it has been in the works since the beginning of time. And when that moment arrives, when the divine timing clicks into place, nothing and no one can keep you from stepping into the new. But stepping into the new requires something of you. It requires surrender. Because transformation does not happen without letting go. And that is where the struggle lies. The human heart clings to the familiar even when the familiar is broken. It holds on to what is known even when what is known no longer serves its purpose. But God will not allow you to hold on to both. You cannot step into destiny while grasping onto history. And that is why you cannot turn back. That is why you cannot shrink. That is why you cannot settle. Because what is coming is greater than what you have known. What is ahead is worth every battle you have fought. What is waiting for you is worth every tear you have shed. And when you step into it, when you finally see what God has been preparing for you, you will not regret a single moment of the process. You will understand why the waiting was necessary, why the struggle was part of the story, why the shift had to come exactly when it did. And in that moment, you will know. You will know that God was never silent. You will know that He was never absent. You will know that every delay was divine. Every closed door was protection. Every challenge was preparation. And as you stand in that place, looking at the life that once felt so far away, you will realize that the change was never just about your circumstances, it was about you. About the person you have become, the faith you have built, the strength you now carry. And that is why you can never go back. That is why you must keep moving forward. Because what God has for you is still unfolding. The journey is not over. The best is still ahead. And this is only the beginning. When God begins to shift your life, the change is often so subtle that you may not recognize it at first. It does not always begin with a loud announcement or a dramatic event. Instead, it starts in the quiet, in the stirring of your soul, in the gentle nudge that tells you something is different. It is a shift that does not always make sense, but it makes itself known in the way your spirit becomes restless, in the way you begin to feel that what once fit you no longer does. It is the sensation of being stretched, pulled beyond what is familiar, drawn into a space you cannot yet define. And though you may not understand it in the moment, though the uncertainty may tempt you to resist it, this is the evidence that change is near. But the nearness of change does not mean the process will be comfortable, because every divine shift comes with a shaking, a season where what is not meant to stay is removed, where what is no longer serving you is stripped away. And this is where many people turn back, because it does not feel like a blessing, it feels like a breaking. It does not look like favor, it looks like loss. But what you must understand is that God never removes without the intention to replace. He never takes away without the purpose of giving you more. And so, when things begin to fall apart, when relationships begin to shift, when opportunities begin to dry up, do not be quick to assume that it is an attack. Sometimes it is simply God making room for what is next. And what is next will require you to trust beyond what you can see. Because God does not always reveal the full picture before He asks you to move. He does not always show you the end before He tells you to begin. Instead, He gives you enough for the next step, enough to take action, enough to build your faith one decision at a time. And this is where many people struggle, because human nature craves certainty. It wants to see the road before it walks. It wants to understand before it obeys. But faith does not work that way. Faith is moving even when the way is unclear. It is trusting even when there are no guarantees. It is stepping out even when everything in you wants to wait for more information. And this kind of trust is what separates those who step into their destiny from those who remain stuck in cycles of waiting. Because the truth is, many people miss their moment of change not because God was not speaking, but because they refused to move. They waited for a perfect time that never came, for absolute clarity that never arrived, for conditions that were never going to be ideal. But God does not operate according to earthly convenience. He calls you forward when it is time, not when it is easy. And those who trust Him, those who move even in uncertainty, those who obey even when the road is unclear, those are the ones who see the fullness of His promises. And when you move, when you take that step, when you decide that fear will not keep you bound, something powerful happens. The very thing you feared loses its power over you. The hesitation that once paralyzed you begins to fade. The doubts that once overwhelmed you start to shrink. Because faith is not about waiting until you feel fearless. It is about moving forward in spite of the fear. It is about doing what God has called you to do, even when you are unsure, even when you are trembling, even when you have to take that step with knees shaking and hands unsteady. And it is in that movement that strength is built. It is in that obedience that confidence is formed. It is in that decision to move forward that the next door begins to open. And as the doors open, as the opportunities align, as the things that once felt impossible begin to fall into place, you will see that God was never holding back on you. He was preparing you. That what once felt like rejection was actually redirection. That what once seemed like loss was actually protection. That the waiting was never about denial, but about development. Because had you received the blessing before you were ready, you would not have been able to sustain it. Had you walked through the door before you were prepared, it would have crushed you instead of elevating you. But now, after the refining, after the stretching, after the strengthening, you are ready. Ready to receive without losing yourself. Ready to rise without forgetting who you are. Ready to carry the weight of the blessing without it breaking you. But with every blessing comes responsibility. Because God does not elevate you simply for your own gain. He elevates you so that you can impact others. And so the question is not just whether you will embrace the change, but whether you will steward it well. Will you use your new position, your new influence, your new opportunities to bring light, to lift others, to pour into the people connected to you? Because if the blessing only benefits you, it is not being used to its fullest potential. God blesses you so that you can be a blessing. He promotes you so that you can pull others up. He pours into you so that you can pour into others. And this is why the process is so important. Because if you have never known struggle, you will not appreciate success. If you have never walked through hardship, you will not have compassion for those who are struggling. If you have never experienced pain, you will not know how to comfort those who are hurting. But because you have walked through the fire, because you have endured the process, because you have known what it means to wait, to wonder, to wrestle with uncertainty, you will carry your blessing differently. You will not take it for granted. You will not misuse it. You will not allow pride to make you forget where you came from. Instead, you will use it to make an impact. You will remember what it felt like to be in the struggle, and you will extend your hand to those still in it. You will see your success not just as personal gain, but as an opportunity to bring others with you. And that is when you will understand the fullness of what God was doing all along. You will see that the shift was not just about you, it was about legacy. It was about breaking cycles. It was about rewriting the story for those who come after you. It was about setting a new standard, creating new opportunities, paving the way for others to walk in their own purpose. And when you step into that understanding, when you embrace the responsibility that comes with the blessing, you will see that this is bigger than you ever imagined. That what you thought was just a season of change was actually the beginning of something generational. That what you thought was just a personal shift was actually a divine assignment. And in that realization, there will be peace. Peace that comes from knowing that nothing was wasted. Peace that comes from understanding that every trial had a purpose. Peace that comes from seeing the beauty in the process, the meaning in the waiting, the purpose in the pain. And though the journey will not end here, though new levels will come with new challenges, you will no longer fear change. Because now you understand that every shift is for your good, that every transition is leading you to greater, that every divine disruption is part of the plan. And so you will walk forward not with hesitation, but with confidence, not with fear, but with faith, not with doubt, but with the certainty that God is always moving, always working, always leading you into the fullness of what He has prepared. And as you step into what is next, as you embrace the change, as you walk boldly into this new season, you will know beyond any doubt that you are made for this moment. That the shift was always meant to happen. That the change was always part of the plan. And that what is ahead is greater than anything you are leaving behind. When God is about to change your life, it is not just about circumstances shifting, it is about transformation from the inside out. The waiting, the stretching, the moments of uncertainty are not signs of delay, but evidence of divine preparation. Every test has strengthened you, every loss has refined you, and every closed door has positioned you for what is greater. Now, you stand at the threshold of something new, something ordained, something far beyond what you imagined. The question is no longer whether God will do it. The question is whether you will step into it. Will you trust Him beyond what you see? Will you embrace the shift, even when it requires you to leave behind the familiar? Because the life you have been praying for is already unfolding before you. The change is here. The door is open. The time to walk through it is now.